Welcome to Psychic Girls Next Door. We are your hosts, Lili
and Shannon Miller. This podcast is for all spirituality enthusiasts and psychics next door to share tools, experiences, and spiritual practices that align with your highest vibrational self.
So on this episode, we are going to be sharing our experience with aura photography. So recently, Shannon and I, we had our auras photograph that was hosted by a local apothecary, which is here in San Francisco, and we'll, link the place in the information box. But first, we would just like to explain, what is an aura and what is aura photography, because I had never had an aura photography before, so that was my first time. So just for beginners and starters, so an aura is basically just this color emanation, that's said to enclose this human or any animal or object, but it's also described as a subtle body. So basically an electromagnetic field that surrounds the body. I always refer to the aura to like at this egg-shaped, like sort of like field, kind of gives people something to kind of make it easier to visualize, like it surrounds your body. So one way to think of auras is as the energy that someone around you, basic what they emit. Some people, they make you nervous, you might notice that you feel more comfortable with people. Some people, you just don't vibe with that energy. Some people will say that, I walked into a room and, I didn't feel the vibe, or I was interacting with someone and, I didn't like their vibe. So that in many ways, it could be seen also as a reaction to the energy they are radiating. So that's basically an aura. But aura photography, it dates back to 1939. So it's been a long time ago that this has been that's been around. And so this man, I hope I'm saying this correctly. His name is Semyon, I think.
Yeah, I would say.
I would say so, right?
Yeah.
Semyon and Valentine Kirlian. So they discovered this coronal discharge photography, which they named Kirlian photography after themselves. And this form of photography captured electric emanations on film, which they believe could provide psychic insights. So in the 1970s, coinciding with this boom in New Age spirituality, an entrepreneur named Guy Coggins, he used the ideology of Kirlian photography to create his own system, which is called the Aura Cam 6000.
That sounds fancy.
Sounds pretty fancy. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So which is still used today. And in the system, the camera is hooked up to two charged metal plates containing biofeedback centers. And a subject, so you place your hands on the sensors as the camera opens for like a long double exposure. And it creates both a headshot and a visual. So the colorful aura capture is layered on top. So it's like a literal snapshot of your energy in that current moment. And we're going to be posting our photos on our social media. So just watch out for that.
They're really cool. I'm a little
cool.
biased, but they're really cool.
Yeah. And then the aura photo, so then it's followed by a reading that explains the color that's visible on your portrait, the density or opacity of each color, and then the placement of each cloud of color too. So I know that Shannon, you've had it before, right? So was that your second time?
This was the second time that I had my aura photo taken.
So how was your first time?
The first time was really, really cool. We will share the names and the links. She had a dome around me, kind of like, when you're changing on the beach, or like if people have like portable changing tables. So she had this like blackout dome to essentially capture the colors of my aura, and she took a video of the colors moving and changing. And the first aura photo that I had taken was red, which is like passion, and then a little bit of orange, so creative energy. And in the video, you see one like this white like orb kind of like walk by me, and she was explaining it, and she's like, oh, that's one of your guides, so one of your spirit guides, which I thought was really cool, because in the video it looks like I'm making eye contact with it, even though like I didn't realize it was with me. And I've been into this stuff for years, but so it was right after, I think I got it done in like 2018 or 2019, I can't remember, but it was really, really cool. So this one was a little bit different. So we didn't have the dome around us when we went.
And was it here in San Francisco?
Yeah. So usually they're kind of like traveling aura photography.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just found that out too.
Yeah. They travel to different places. Like you can have them at your wedding, which is really cool. But the one that, I cannot remember the name of it. I have the aura photo taken, in my room, but essentially the second time I took this aura was with Aura Weaver. So Aura Weaver, she has the what is it? How do you pronounce it? Kirlian? God,
Kirlian.
Kirlian. So she has a Kirlian aura, photo machine. That's how I'm describing it.
And it's huge.
It is
huge.
huge.
This huge like machine, like right in front of you.
And you place your hands on it, so for the biofeedback, and that's how it captures the essence or what your aura looks like on film. And so I guess I'll dive into like where should we go? Should we start by describing what happened in our aura photo session?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. It was a really cool experience, because for me it was my first time, and I think the first time I learned is actually when you've mentioned that you had your aura photography taken, and I think you did show me like your photo, like I don't know, it was like a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
And I think because I followed this place on Facebook, and then they posted, this event, aura photography. I'm like, yes, I want to do it. So, and I had no idea. Like, I had no idea what to expect, how it worked. I didn't even like Google or anything. I was just like excited to go, but it was just such a cool, like the whole thing is, it's just kind of, you're gonna get immersed in this experience, right? Like, as the photo is taken, but I think for me, the most exciting moment is wanting to kind of see your photos developed.
Oh, yeah.
I can actually see the colors of the aura. Because after we had our photos taken, so I had mine individually, and then Shannon also had her individually. And then we had both of our photos taken together,
too.
That
was really, really cool.
that was fun. And then afterwards, so then you go, to this person that, she was a tarot reader. Was that her title?
Yeah,
Right?
And we'll link her info as well.
Yes. And then she, I think as we were waiting for the photo, it's kind of like a little, like a Polaroid looking photo that we received as we were waiting for that to develop. So then she, read some tarot cards for both of us, which was like, I thought it was pretty on point.
It was pretty on point. Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember what card you got?
I think it's kind of a blur now.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I think one of the card that she pulled was something about, union.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think it was something related to that, like partnering with people, I guess in many different settings, like in our case, like this podcast, you know, I'm hoping maybe a romantic partner too.
Let's manifest
bring that in, Yeah, but I think that's the only thing that I remember from my reading.
Yeah.
Do you remember yours?
I got the 4 of Wands, and it was all about like, I'm gonna butcher it, and I hope the tarot community doesn't hate me for. I love reading tarot, but I can never. It's like that show. Don't forget the lyrics. I forget the lyrics all the time. Memorization it's so challenging for me.
I mean, it's an art.
It is an art
to like read tarot cards.
Oh yeah, it is.
know?
And so like I can hold my own when I do read, and I give readings to my friends, but it's more of like, oh, let's figure it out and let's look at the book and see what the book has to say, or let's look online to see what the meaning of it. I can never remember, but essentially it was about like tapping into my creative. She read from 2 different decks, and one of them was Pluto. So like it was all about like the clairvoyance. I remember clairvoyance popping up which was so funny because essentially it related back to us starting this podcast.
Yes.
And really driving in like validation that we're having this creative partnership and that things are going to be like more in tune with like listening to your intuition. I think that was the gist of it. But the aura reading itself was really, really informative. Like
it was so cool.
Yeah.
And afterwards, when she actually showed us the aura photos, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting, to see those colors like around my physical body, and you just kind of see like this clouds of different colors. So mine was like blue. It was basically just like a blue experience, and with like shades of green around my body. And from what I remember, so blue, it's all about intuition. And it was all related to that, like tapping into my knowingness. And there was something else about it. I'm not going to remember like all the specific words, because she kind of like, she gave us the basic, many of the colors, and then she would just kind of like give us like a deeper explanations of whatever she was seeing. Because the interesting thing, like the way that where the colors are also placed, like around our body, like if it's on the top of the head, if it's on the right and the left, they have different meanings too.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to remember.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
You do remember all that?
Yeah.
Like,
so you're looking at the photo. It would be your right. So looking at it, it'd be the left side of the picture. That's like your most recent pastime energy, like what you've been running in. And then, and also like your masculine, your channels. And then the top is your present time information. And then the very top of it is like your goals and aspirations and like what you're desiring, or the information that you're pulling in from that place of, thought process. And then, the feminine side, or which is the
right side.
Your left, looking at it, it's the right side of the photo, would be like what you want in your future time, and how you receive information.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You have some really good memory for someone that says I can memorize anything.
Yeah.
No. You have great memory, because I don't remember any of that. I do remember her mentioning there were different meanings for where it was placed. But I also have like this, like sort of like an emerald green speck. Can't remember which side, but the green color is about like nurturing.
Yeah.
It's like that type of energy. And I thought it was really, it kind of, was super accurate, because I work with children, and that's a lot of my energy that goes into. And it's interesting too, because, blue and green is like are my favorite colors.
Yeah.
And it's always like a color. So when I meditate in the morning, I like to set my vibration for the day too. And I do that also by visualizing colors. So I like to use blue and green, because it always like resonate with me. There's the type of colors I'm like, yeah, this feels really good.
It's definitely your vibe.
Yeah. I'm very much like that. If you meet me in person, these are colors that describe me in a nutshell. So I thought it was, it was great. It was really great to see that too. Yeah. And I can remember there was something else about
your heart space.
The heart space, right? Because it was like a cloud to like a circle, sort of like looked like a chakra, right? Like kind of like in the right in the mid of my chest.
Yeah.
There was like,
Probably like pull up a photo of
yeah,
it.
I brought the photo.
Oh, you did?
I'm sure it's somewhere.
Okay, I have
I think it's one of my pockets.
I have the photos up right here.
Yeah,
And
and I can't remember if it was like this shade of green too, but it was kind of like very much how we do things from the heart and how I do my job, you know, from a very intuitive place and very much connected to the heart space.
I don't have your photo specifically, but I have the photo of the both of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Shannon's photo was like on the complete opposite of the color spectrum, which was really cool.
Yeah. Mine, it was, so in the past it had been just like straight up red. And so this time it was red. So in the past I had been operating from like a place of like passion and like kind of like get it done type of energy, which is very like me when I'm at work. I just want to get things done. I want to keep things moving. I'm also a generator in human design, so that makes sense. And then at the top it had this like kind of lime green color and like yellow, which the yellow represented joy. So that's like part of my goal information is to bring in more joy and be connected, like creativity or creatively. That's what I'm trying to say. So being able to bring in joy through my creativity. And then the orange is all about like the creative, you know, bringing in creativity. So it's like I'm going to be able to do that. When I'm being creative, I'm going to manifest more joy in my life, essentially. And then my sacral chakra was green. And then my heart, it's like you'll see on our Instagram page and on our website that we have on this post, essentially, like it looks like a rainbow from my heart chakra to like my, basically having an affinity for what was green again? The green. What did green represent?
The green, I think, was like the nurturing,
okay.
nourishing, the very like, you know,
oh yeah,
very
like earth energy.
You're very connected to compassion, self-love, that type of energy.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of that in like in my body chakras, essentially. And then so the combination photo was really, really cool.
It looks like almost like a rainbow.
Yeah.
Right?
So mine is like straight up red orange. And she said the red orange is like creative leadership and like entrepreneurial energy, which is definitely my vibe for sure.
Definitely. I think that really matches your energy in this present moment.
And so Lili's was like a blue green, like in her aura photo, the solo one. And then as soon as we got together, she had a lot of purple in her space, which I thought was really interesting. And I think the purple was like about like intuitive, like intuition,
knowledge. Yeah, I think it was something else about communication too.
Yeah.
I believe she was mentioning about like how we communicate. It was a lot about communication, actually. Partnership, communication, intuition. And I mean, it's all kind of matches with what we're doing now.
Exactly.
Like right at this moment as we are creating this podcast. And it was such a cool experience.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And we'll have to have the reader actually on a future episode. And she will not butcher it.
She will be able to explain it like more in details and more specific. But she was so lovely. And we had a great experience. I want to do it again.
Oh, I know.
If there's like anywhere else where they're offering that, I would love to do it again.
I know. I'm like, they do weddings like at my future wedding
or birthday.
Right. Ooh, yeah.
It'd be fun.
I don't have to wait for my wedding.
No, I mean you could do it at your wedding
Who
too.
knows when that would be though?
But birthdays.
A birthday
would be great.
Every day is someone's birthday.
That would be so fun. I
Yeah.
would love to do that.
That would be really fun. It'd
Yeah.
be cool for a work event if like your work environment, you know, is open to that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I think it's great to kind of tap into those tools, you know, because it kind of gives you, you know, a different perspective on things. It shows, you know, how you are operating from. So it's, for me, it was very validating too. You know, I felt validated when she was like, you know, saying all those things, and you know, and I think when we told her too, like that what we did, and it matched, and she was like, oh,
I think she felt a little validated as well.
Yes.
Not that she needs our validation,
right, but it was like both ways. I thought that was like, you know, a fun experience just to kind of go through that. So I highly recommend.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Aura Weaver Photography. If you ever see her, I bet you'll see her now that you're listening. That's how manifestation works.
Yes.
She's great. And the team that she works with, I think she hires locally or whatever location. I'm assuming. So, you know, just go take my information with a grain of salt. But I'm imagining that she would connect to like a local spiritual store, and then, or sometimes they're at like West Coast craft fairs and like those types of places, like anywhere there's like niche, like expensive items
or spirituality,
Yeah.
sort of events or locations or places.
Yeah, like an experience event.
We'll link all this information in the information box, and you can kind of check it out for yourself. Maybe there is one, you know, coming to your area.
I know. Hopefully, it's really fun, especially when you go in open-minded and just kind of like, because you don't really. I mean, you can figure out the color of your aura by meditating and feeling it out. Whenever I do readings on people, whenever they say their name, I see their aura. You know, give me permission. I see their aura color immediately.
Well, I think it would be a great segue for us to just to kind of talk about auras in general, because, you know, as psychics, I'm sure that a lot of people, they wonder, well, what do you see? Do you see auras? Do you see spirits? Because I get asked that a lot, you know, and sometimes, you know, people are sitting right in front of you and they ask, what do you see? You know, some people, they get a little apprehensive too. But I get asked often too, but do you see my aura? What color is my aura? You know, and I think it would be kind of nice for us to also just share our experience, you know, how do we see them? How does it look like? Because I'm sure a lot of people, they might have questions, you know, about that. How do you see them, Shannon? Like in your case?
Yeah. So whenever I always ask for permission, and we get permission by asking for their name 3 times out loud. And that's been a tool from the training that we've received from the psychic school we attended, where Lili is a meditation teacher. And so that's how I'm able to access. Sometimes I can see, like, if people are very easy, some people are easier to read than others, and some people are more open, and it's almost like they're like dying to be seen. For those are the folks that I can just kind of see without. I like to get permission because then I can see a little bit deeper into their space, but I'll see a color and sometimes it'll swirl in like a fog, and then other times it'll be like bam in your face. This is like a Pantone color, like it's very specific, or it'll be a mixture of different colors, but usually I'll see like different themes about like what like recently I was hanging out with someone and I asked to see what their aura color was, and I got permission, and this person's aura was like blue, and it was like I see a lot of whimsical energy, and like whenever I look at my dad's energy, I actually saw like, so I asked, I was with my parents for the past couple weeks, and I said, Dad, if I have permission to like read your energy, can I hear like your name 3 times out loud? And so I asked, and he said his name, and then it was like the color of a whoopee cushion. And, you know,
Yes.
and
I don't even know what color
like
is
it's
that.
like a burgundy,
Right?
like a light burgundy, like a
Yes.
dusty burgundy. And so, because I saw dusty burgundy, and then all of a sudden it turned into like a whoopee cushion.
Oh my God, that's
and,
so funny.
And then it was like swirling around, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, that's very my dad's energy. Like
So funny.
he's like he likes to play jokes on people, and he's
so
very
that makes sense.
yeah. So sometimes I'll usually see like an image associated with that color, and then I can't remember what my mom's was like bubblegum pink, and then I hope she doesn't mind that I'm sharing this, but so my mom's was bubblegum pink, and then I was like, oh, like are you afraid of the bubble bursting? So there's like this, there's this apprehension, like, 'cause when you think about chewing bubble gum, like the pink, it was a beautiful pink color, and then it turned into like someone blowing a bubble, like chewing that same type of gum. And then I was like, oh wait, like, are you like, there was apprehension to have this bubble burst. And I said, are you anxious about something? Or do you feel like, do you have like this fear of like the bubble bursting or something? So then I asked her like deeper questions, and she did, in fact, have like some type of anxiety about something.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information that comes
Yes.
through
Metaphorical information.
It could be. I think
Yeah.
it could be like both ways.
Feelings
right?
and-
and by the way, just to kind of explain too, so psychics, they see auras in different ways. So I think like both Shannon and I, majority of the time we're going to a meditative trance.
Yeah.
So we have our eyes closed so we can see energy. But there are psychics too that see with their eyes open.
Yeah. I was seeing with my eyes open when
Right.
I was just asking my parents, and it's like, it's almost like tapping into a memory. Like how if you were to imagine like remembering a memory from like, third grade, you can remember who was there, what it looked like, how the color of the grass, what it smelled like. All of those senses kind of pop up, and sometimes you get all those senses, but then other times you don't. So that's what happens when I see with my eyes open. But when I see with my eyes closed, you see a lot more, at least in my experience. How has it been for you? How do you see auras, Lili?
Yeah, mine is pretty similar too. It can show up like right when and again, we always ask permission, to look at anyone else's energy. So don't think that just because you're sitting in front of us or next to us, we're kind of like diving into your energetic space, because we're not.
We're nosy, but not that nosy.
Yeah, but not that.
We
not
mind
that
our business.
So we see it, but we don't like dive in. We're just kind of okay, none of our business.
Yeah, no, that's none of my business.
And then
yeah.
we just kind of move on, But we always ask for permission. So in my case too, sometimes like when I pull up someone's energy, it might come right away, like right at it, like it just shows up very defined colors. For some people, it will show up, when the fog starts to creep in, it kind of shows up like that, kind of like all the colors start to come in, this kind of like a fog around their energetic body. So it might show it that way. Sometimes it kind of show like in specks, kind of like as like fireworks, but kind of like in a slower motion. It's just like I know it's really strange to actually describe it, like when you're actually seeing those things, but it really depends where people are.
Yeah.
Where they are at that moment. So a lot of people ask, well, are these my colors, do they always stay the same? And the answer is no, because our emotions are changing, our mental states are changing, we're growing, we're evolving. So for example, if Shannon and I go back to take another photograph, but probably the colors are going to be different.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, different setting, different environment, depending where we are in our lives. So, and it changes like from reading to reading too. It's the same thing. But it also, for us, when we look at the aura, it gives a lot of information to us.
Yeah, words will pop up. I get a lot of words. Like people, I'll hear the words, or like energetically hear the words, and then I'll see. It might be like a movie reel playing. Like it could either be like one of their past lives, or like just a narrative that they might be fixated on, or like something that they're worried or actively thinking about, like a common theme or pattern. That's usually what else shows up and that all of that is easier for me to see with my eyes closed.
Yes, but just a reminder too, like we've gone through training to see all this information. We don't expect like people to be like, oh, I'm being meditating, I can't see any of that, That's why we go into this clairvoyant training. This is where you really hone in into being able to see clearly, right? Auras, and interpret that too, because there's no such thing as like a black and white definition, right? Of like the things that we see when you're kind of like, looking at someone's aura. Like for me, for example, when I look at it too, so colors for me, they have different meanings. And it's all going to depend on the person's too. Because say I may look at, you might have red in your aura, but for you, I'm like, okay, first of all, for Shannon, it means this.
Right.
But for this person, it means something else. It might mean like maybe rage.
Right.
Or aggression instead of that leadership.
Right. The creative entrepreneurship.
Passion,
whatever it is.
Maybe something a little different too. So it all kind of depends on, and I think in our case, we just kind of have to ask. And then, okay, so I see like, and I also like see where the colors are placed. So say some people might have like a lot of, I don't know, like lavender, like above their heads, or there's a lot of lavender kind of like circulating maybe like around their heart space, or kind of also try to you piece it together, right? Like if there's a lot of different colors, because some people might have maybe one dominant color. Some people might have like a rainbow of colors too. And some people might have just like one single shade. And I've seen that. It was like one plain shade.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a vibration they're running at.
So, and I think it's up to us as psychics, you kind of have to like translate that to what is going on in their energetic space. And I've also seen auras too, where they have, so, you kind of like, and I guess we mentioned, imagine like the aura that's like kind of like an egg shaped, sort of like a field around you. So I've seen auras too that have like holes in it. They look like they might have some damage. So for me, that's also information. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, what happened there?
Yeah.
Let's just take a look at it,
Yeah.
Why there's a hole in it,
Like, it's like sometimes there's like if you can imagine the aura as like a house, like check the backside. Is the back porch door open?
Exactly.
Like that's,
With a broken window. Right.
Exactly. Like,
what is that?
Right. And like, what does that actually mean? Like, usually access to your energy from other people or other people having access to your energy. So there's a lot of information that you can get when you are like reading your own aura. Like, so when you're in meditation, check in with yourself and to see like, where is my aura? And you'll feel it like on a physical sense. And when we were going through the training is also helpful. And this is not like the school is great. So if you're curious, we'll include the resources for the school, but this is not a marketing ploy for you to go to the school. I think there's resources that you can easily get from several different places about how to check in with yourself to see what your aura is. It usually helps to meditate.
Yes, I guess being a meditative state, it really helps for you to kind of tune in to that energy too. Or you can just like with your eyes, because you can visualize, like you can literally, right?
You can, in the first color that you think of, usually that's the color of your aura.
And you just trust that information. Just trust that.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
A lot of it is trusting yourself and trusting the information. And because when we were first, going through training for this is like so bizarre, and not to put a judgment on it, but it was such a bizarre experience in the beginning because you're not used to looking at this information in that specific of a way. You're used to in this like world we're in, if you are not in tune with this type of information, you're usually in tune with like the mainstream, and the mainstream kind of poo-poos over a lot of this information that we're getting on a spiritual level. And and we can, obviously there's so many conspiracies I have about that, but we will not, I will not go there today. But essentially, like, the information that you get from your aura, it can give you a lot of information about where you are, what your vibe is, like how you're feeling. And I like to go in, you can go into open-minded, you can go in with an intention, and like setting your intention, and like, you know, I want to run at like blue, and like what are there can be so many associations with the color blue, and like we're not going to put information in your space about what that is, but essentially, like, the associations you have for different colors, that's usually your source of truth.
Yes. And you just kind of, you trust that, you know, whatever it is that you get, you know, because I notice sometimes we override the sort of this intuitive nuggets that we get. You know, and I think before too, I started, you know, this work, I was always like questioning, oh, I don't know if this is actually true, or if this is, am I just imagining things, you know? So there's like a lot of, you know, doubt that goes into that, because we're not used to, right, to be in that space,
right,
where you actually tap into this like non-physical things. You're like, but I can't see it. You know, so this is where psychics come in.
Right.
And everyone has this intuitive ability, you know, to tap into this energy too. But in our case, it's like you have to kind of just move out all this preconceptions, you know, that you have about trusting your intuition and trusting your own information. And when you see things, you know, you might see sometimes colors, you might have sensations, and sometimes we just kind of like, we don't pay attention to that, or we think that we're just kind of, you know, being overreacting or whatever that is. But all in all, an aura is also a way to, I call it also your protective shield.
Yeah.
You know, so I work with children, and I sometimes I like to tell them, okay, how about we play superheroes today, and let's imagine like this, like a shield, so no one can come, and the bad guys can come and come anywhere near you. So I usually like play with them and say, okay, so let's imagine that you're kind of like surrounded by like this sort of like this egg-shaped field around you, you know, which is like the little auras, and they find it like very entertaining, you know, because they feel very powerful when they like think of, oh yeah, I want to be, you know, I want to have a shield protecting me. So it's kind of what it is too, you know, just this protective shield, and it's your space.
Yeah.
It's your energetic space, like literally.
Trying to think of like a realistic, like real life scenario. Okay, so it's like when someone is standing too close to you.
Oh, yeah.
You can feel their energy.
Absolutely.
It's almost like their aura is touching yours.
It's invading your space.
Yes,
right?
when you feel that's the aura giving you the information, like someone is too close to me, like physically too close, or if someone has like a really expansive, or their aura is like expanded out, like they are trying, it's almost like they're trying to get your attention, and they're trying to, you know, get people to look at them. That's how I interpret that, you know, get information for some reason.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, right? And I think it was interesting how as we went through the pandemic, as we had to be like 6 feet apart from each other.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was great.
Oh, yeah, it was
like,
awesome.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Like, please don't come near me.
Yeah, no, don't stay close to me. Like, just keep distance. Let's keep doing this from now on.
Yeah.
You know, I really like appreciate that, because I also had the same thing. If people get like too close to my space, I'll be like, oh, okay. No,
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to read their energy.
Yeah. And I've had situations too where, I don't know, I was like, you know, you're like at a coffee shop, you're waiting for your coffee, and then I had people like standing next to me, and I had to move, switch positions, because some people's energy was so overwhelming.
Uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable. As a psych and empath, sometimes I do pick up a lot of that stuff unintentionally. And I literally, like, I had to change position. I had to go all the way, like, around the other corner.
Act like you're looking at something else in the store.
Oh, yeah, let me grab a napkin over here.
Right.
But I've had that happen, because some people's energy just may be, like, too dense or too intense, whatever it is. But there's no judgment, in this information, but that's literally like what it was.
Yeah.
Right? Like their energy field.
Right.
It just didn't vibe with mine.
Right. And that's okay. There's like no judgment.
Fine. Yeah,
like,
no judgment.
like
people are where they are.
Yeah.
And even for ourselves too, we're not always in this, like rainbows, unicorn sort of state where our aura is always like bright and glowing. And I don't think that's realistic.
No, I don't think that it is either. Like, of course, I would love to be like a shimmery turquoise all the time, but like I am a very, like creative orangey red and most of the time. And so whenever I'm like, ooh, like let's set the energy at purple. Like, for me, purple's like royalty. That's how what I associate purple with, like, boss, intuitive boss vibes. That, that's how I interpret it. But then at the end of the day, like my default energy is usually red orange. And I think for some people, if they don't really reciprocate like that energy, that's okay. Like, because they might be like they might want to, they might be attracted to people with a different type of aura or.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, people match.
Yeah.
Energetically, we all match too. So it's kind of that saying that like attracts like, right?
Yeah.
And some colors might complement each other. Like, as Shannon and I just mentioned, we've had like very specific colors in our auras, but they also complement each other too. So you just never know.
Right. And it can influence and change or bring out a new color in another person.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's a fun thing to kind of to look at, just exploring the space of, auras and how you can create that space for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Create a, like I would say, more like practical way to, like, say for example, you go into either your workspace or maybe you're gonna go into, I don't know, it could even be anywhere, a grocery store, and you want to feel protected, right? You want to feel safe, and so you can imagine this force field. The force field, this protective superhero shield around you, and just kind of walking into that space and just notice if anything shifts, as you do that. How do you feel? Is there any emotions or feelings that you kind of run through your body, and just notice? I think that'll be kind of like a fun exercise to do too.
Yeah, because I have social anxiety. I'll be open about that. And so whenever I go into a place where I feel like I might be seen by too many people, that's comfortable for me. Because I love a one-on-one setting. I love a small group setting. I love a large organizational setting too. Like I used to host all hands at my company. And that doesn't bother me at all, like, because it's on Zoom, and I think if it was in person, it'd be a whole other story, but I really don't mind talking to large groups. But when it comes to like specific, like that kind of like a large, like going into a grocery store or going into like a bar and knowing that there's going to be a specific group of people at that place, like a vibe of people, right? The vibe of the location will attract certain types of people to go there. So whenever we would go out to bars, like in my mid 20s or early 20s, I would always have so much anxiety about like going into those spaces because of not wanting to feel fully seen. So I would put up like this like kind of a cloak. I call it like my Harry Potter invisibility cloak, and I feel like I can be seen or not be seen, like turn it off and on pretty easily. And I think before I got into this, like, you know, space of knowing what everything is, or, you know, that's my narrative right now. I will never know everything about this, but until I do, right? But in that place of like not really having the same resources about this information, I would put on this like my invisibility cloak. If I felt like I was going out, and I probably was going out for the wrong reasons, right? Like I probably didn't genuinely want to go out, but my friends were like, oh, come on, let's go out and get drinks. So it's someone else's birthday. We have to go. And so doing a lot of things out of obligation. And during this pandemic, I've realized like I am such an introvert and I love it.
Oh, interesting, right?
Yeah. And before, I feel like I was a forced extrovert, because I'm kind of in middle of the road on the Myers-Briggs. I think I'm 51% extroverted. And so I just like embracing my inner introvert and having the tools, information I do now, like reflecting back to that time, I kind of hid myself. I put up my aura in a very specific way. And I think I put up some extra, like, you know, please don't look at me, out of like a way to protect myself and like, you know, not feel seen, or if I wanted attention and if I was in a place where but I feel like in those moments I wouldn't get the right attention, or I wouldn't get the attention from the types of people I really wanted it from.
Right.
I think I got it from like skeezy people, you know, or like, or someone who would like match that energy.
Right.
Or match
because it was
that
almost
projection.
like an armor more than it was actually like
me.
Like that invisible shield.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yeah.
how interesting is that?
Yeah. So when you are setting the intention, make sure that it makes sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all going to vary depending on the setting, you know, that you're in, what situations that you're going in. But it's important to protect your own energy.
Yes.
You know, your own energetic space, because you just don't want other people's energy.
Right.
You know, running the show in your life. Basically, that's what it is, you know. But we would love to hear if you've ever had, you know, the experience of seeing your aura, or have you ever had an aura photography?
Yeah.
I would love to see pictures of that too. Tag us.
Yeah, share resources.
Yeah,
like,
share your experiences with that. And if you ever had your aura read by a psychic, how did it look like? Any other comments that you have about it? Have you maybe tried setting your aura? How did it feel like? So we would love to hear experiences about that too.
Yeah, share your stories, share your resources. And then if you are an aura photographer or an aura reader and would love to come on the show and talk to us, we would love to hear your story, any information you can share with our community of psychics next door.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for listening and joining us and co-creating in the space. And don't forget to leave us a comment or a review, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Thank you so much.